Borge Brende, thank you so much for joining CNBC. It's a brave new world, isn't it? Especially for the World Economic Forum. Walk us through what the conference is going to look like this year.
So for the first time in our 50th history, we will have to also go virtual when it comes to Davos and our annual meeting. But it is looking really, really strong, taking into consideration that we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have 2,000 participants. We have 600 of the key business leaders in the world, and also engaged with almost 30 head of states and governments from mainly G20 countries. So we will try to rebuild trust during our week here, and also look at how will the post-COVID world look.
Walk me through some of the main themes, because there's always a theme for Davos. What's it looking like this year?
It is really rebuilding trust. There is trust deficit in the world, and most of the challenges that we are faced with are common challenges. They don't know any kind of borders. Look at COVID. COVID anywhere is COVID everywhere. Look at climate change. CO2 doesn't know any kind of border, so we need a global deal. In many ways, we are facing 4 C's: COVID, climate change, and then a cooperation deficit and contracting economies that we want to make into growing economies, but a growth that also create jobs, more opportunities for people, but also that accept the boundaries of our planet.
What kind of representation are we talking about for this year's forum? Obviously, it's virtual, so one would imagine that would mean that more people will be able to be accessible even than in previous years. Who's going to be on the agenda?
So we are opening with President Xi Jinping from China, the second largest economy in the world. And after Xi Jinping, we'll have UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres laying out how we can also strengthen multilateralism in this new context that we are facing. We also have Angela Merkel, President Macron. We will also have Prime Minister Modi from India, the largest democracy in the world, sharing India's role in the world. And themes that we're looking at is following up on stakeholder capitalism, that companies do not only have a responsibility towards their shareholders, but also to the community, employees. But we will not be able to reach the Paris Accord or even create all the jobs that are necessary in a post-COVID world. With also, we have to mobilize the private sector. Partnerships between governments and private sector are crucial.
One big name that I heard was off that list is U.S. President Joe Biden. How can you hope to achieve all of these ends without the backing of the United States?
So we are working very, very closely with the U.S. We're very pleased that the climate czar, John Kerry, will be with us. We also have Dr. Fauci there. We know that this is a very special week still in the U.S. It's just after inauguration. So we will have a lot of U.S. voices, but we'll reserve President Biden for the next Davos.
Do you think that with the inauguration of Joe Biden, following the last 4 years of volatility, has that given a momentum, do you think, to the conversations you're going to have, particularly with regards to climate, in terms of what's achievable?
Already there are new signals from the U.S. administration on the climate side, re-entering the Paris Agreement, but also looking at how the U.S. can be turned into a low-carbon economy are major, major steps. We also saw that Dr. Fauci, on behalf of the Biden administration, also made it clear that the U.S. is entering WHO, the World Health Organization. So there are new signals in that direction, but I think the reality is that we're still faced with a very polarized US. I don't think the US is out of the woods when it comes to the pandemic. The numbers are really, really bad. So there is going to be also a very tough 100 days for President Biden, but I think he's now got a very experienced team with him, with his cabinet.
When you think about that kind of volatility in terms of the numbers, COVID-19 resurging in various parts of the world, particularly, for example, here in Dubai, we're seeing another surge. There's been a lot of criticism of the World Economic Forum's decision to host a semi-virtual summit in a few months from now in Singapore. Walk us through that decision process. Are you just unafraid of the pandemic at this point? Do you think that we're going to see less cases by May?
So I think you're right that the new variant coming from the UK, but also from Brazil and South Africa, more infectious, is something that we have to take extremely serious. It's all about vaccination now. The rollout of the vaccination is crucial, but we also have seen some setbacks there on the production side. So we'll have to make sure that COVID is fought with all the means available, but also making sure that the COVAX initiative, that all countries will have the chance to vaccinate their people, goes through. When it comes to our special annual meeting in Singapore in May, of course, we will make it a prerequisite that we can stick then to the highest health standards, and the safety of our participants always come first. We, of course, will have to monitor this very carefully in the weeks to come. That's for sure.
So no plans to rethink that summit?
As I said, we're following the health situation very closely. But as we know, the situation in Singapore is very much under control, and a summit there will be a bubble, so people will have to be tested before leaving and on arrival. So we're pretty sure that we can conduct this with all kind of health safety that is necessary. But as I said, the safety of our participants will always come first. So we are looking into this on a daily basis. I can just underline that.
And just before I let you go, Borge, when you think about what's going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months, we've got the global pandemic. You've got a lot of optimism, at least on one side of the aisle, about how the United States could potentially re-enter global politics as a result of the inauguration of Joe Biden. Do you think that the world is going to be a better place with Joe Biden in the White House?
So I think there are some lights in the end of the tunnel in general, not at least because of the vaccination and the rollout, but it's taking time. We just have to hope that the new variants are not immune when it comes to the vaccine. I think also what experts say, we can adjust the vaccines if necessary. Then I think the stimulus that have been launched, the $12 trillion are also now having effect. We're seeing that growth is back in some countries, and this year we do expect growth. And in 2022, we hope that also we are back in many countries to a pre-COVID level when it comes to growth and jobs. But whatever it takes to get the economy back is necessary. And I think it's more dangerous to do too little than too much when it comes to stimulus. But now we have to move the stimulus from just looking at consumption to investments, investing in the green future, investing also in the digital transformation that have to take place. And one of my biggest worries is that 3.6 billion people on our planet are not connected to the internet. And when we know that digitalization is so important, these are one of the challenges that we're really looking at when it comes to meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. And I feel the US administration is also with us on these priorities.
So Joe Biden in the White House, better for the global economy, better for the world?
So the signals that are coming from the White House, re-entering WHO, Paris Accord is of course well received. and we'll see. But we are still in a situation where there is geopolitical confrontations. There's a fractured world. We'll see how the U.S.-China relationship will develop in the year to come. So I don't think there will be a lack of news for you to report this year.
Great stuff. Thank you, Borge Brende. Thanks so much for joining CNBC.